actually by far the most important thing when you're young is what are you learning in your job? And if you're learning a huge amount early on in your career, that will pay huge dividends later on. So I'm Adrian Blair. I'm the co-founder of Circl together with Charlie. I'm not involved day to day in the organization and running a Circl. Charlie's doing a brilliant job of that, but I'm involved, I guess, in longer term issues around how we grow Circl, how we grow the team, how we go after new customers, and making sure that we fund the business for the long term. I'm so passionate about the potential of young people around the world to be great leaders. Companies, businesses are crying out for certain types of skills in their leaders, and schools are generally focusing on academic stuff like GCSEs and A-levels and not explicitly teaching those skills. So we thought, let's bring businesses and young people together to give young people practice of using the sort of interpersonal skills that you need to be a great leader. And let's give business people an opportunity to be coaches, because critical to being a senior manager in business is being able to coach and get the best out of other people. And there's no substitute for actually doing it rather than reading books about it or whatever. So Circl is unique in that we develop people in companies by giving them actual practice of using these skills, and we give them, in doing so, the opportunity to change the lives of young people. So it's a really unique thing, and it has an extraordinary impact on people's lives and on the development of leaders in companies. I think my passion for this came from my own background. So I went to a comprehensive school in the UK, and I was surrounded by people from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, and some of them were incredibly smart and could have gone on to do wonderful things, but for whatever reason struggled academically, and didn't necessarily go to the university they wanted to, and didn't necessarily go into the career that they wanted to. So I just see huge wasted potential of people who could be great leaders and for whatever reason end up not getting there. I was sort of ambitious, but in a kind of vague sense. I mean, I actually wasn't a very good student at school. I was often late to school. My teachers, I think I tried to make people laugh in classes a lot. I wasn't always like the SWAT in the class. I was often sort of trying to distract people or whatever. I think maybe I was a bit bored, and I was just finding different ways to deal with that. But generally with the aim of making either the teacher laugh or other pupils laugh. So I actually had pretty bad predicted A-level grades, and I guess probably in the last month or so of A-levels, I started working a bit harder behind the scenes, and ended up getting much better grades than the teachers had predicted. And because of that, I took a year off, actually, because I decided I wanted to go to Oxford, and I hadn't got into Oxford because my predicted grades were so bad. So I took a year off and applied during my year off to go to Oxford again. And it was only by doing that I ended up getting in. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things. I know now. I'm trying to think what my 17-year-old self would have needed to know. I think probably something about discipline. I was pretty indisciplined when I was that age. I think I could have achieved a lot more than I did probably at that age, just by actually focusing and trying to get very good at a smaller number of things. So if I was talking to my 17-year-old self, I would say, just it's worth it. It's worth being a bit more disciplined, and really, really making a proper effort at some things, because your brain, particularly at that age, I think is just capable of incredible things, and you've got a lot more time than you have later in life when you start having kids and all that kind of thing. So it's a time of incredible potential, and I think I could have made probably more of it than I did. One is get to know people, start to develop some kind of network of your own. So you get to know people who are out there in the world of work. I think secondly, and that's something, by the way, the Circl program obviously helps to do, because we connect young people with people in companies. I think secondly, there's a huge amount of material that's very, very easily available now. Whether it's books to read or articles or videos on YouTube. I mean, the amount you can learn just from the comfort of your living room today, about business and what it takes to be successful, from your home now, compared to what was possible when I was 17, 18, is just extraordinary. So I would say really take some time to take advantage of what's out there and learn a bit. And then I think finally I'd say keep an open mind about what it is that you will ultimately do, because it's pretty unlikely, if you're 17, 18 years old, it's pretty unlikely that you'll have a really clear idea of what you want to be doing when you're 30 or 40. So keep an open mind, and keep learning. If you're not learning every year while you're young, then that is an issue. Jobs, I always say to people at work, jobs kind of give you three big things. One is they obviously pay you money at a basic level so that you can buy food and live. Two is they give you like enjoyment, and hopefully satisfaction if you're actually achieving something in your job. And three, they give you learning. And actually, when you're young, the third of those is actually the most important thing. People focus when they're young a lot on what's my salary going to be, and they talk about I had a lot of fun with my colleagues and we went for beers or whatever, but actually by far the most important thing when you're young is what are you learning in your job. And if you're learning a huge amount early on in your career, that will pay huge dividends later on.